answering the question, how does love and intimacy show up in relationships? Love and intimacy are very sacred things to me. And I love talking about them. I love studying them because they help me and each one of us, I believe, truly start to understand who we are and how we are made up. Intimacy is something that really speaks to how we connect with another entity. We want to have closeness. We want to have connection. We're oftentimes seeking community. And what does all of that mean when we can become intimate with other people? I remember when I was younger, in my 20s, I always thought intimacy was just truly about sex, just truly, being with another person, kissing, hugging, those kind of things. And that I had to really try to understand, that's really just what it was sex or being close to someone. And, I think it's really how we show affection to other people. But again, I felt like intimacy went a little bit deeper than that. And intimacy really speaks to how we can be vulnerable with another person, how we can show another person who we are without fear that they will judge us, without fear that they will leave us, without fear that they will go running if they find out the truth about us. And when we can be that, we can truly show up as our authentic selves and trust that another person will accept us exactly as who we are. When we get into that type of feeling and place, that's when we can really start to think about intimacy. Being intimate with a person is being open, as I said, vulnerable, being authentic, and not having to think twice about it. We don't have to hold that energy. We don't have to wonder what someone else thinks about us. We can trust them to share that. And so then if we take that and add that to our relationship, it makes our relationship all the more special, because now you and another person choosing to do the same thing can be vulnerable with each other, can truly be intimate with each other. And it has so much more meaning to it because you find this interconnectedness, this intersection that no one can tell you about. In a relationship, what I always say is no one should be able to tell you about your relationship or what you have with another person. Sometimes it's unspoken. Sometimes we just feel the energy, the electricity, or as the elders used to say, the pheromones, right? It's just something that we know inside that sometimes we don't even have words for it. And that's also important to know, is just as importantly as we may be able to verbalize something, we need to be able to articulate a feeling in our body, and that we can match that feeling with someone else that we care about, that we love, that we are connected to, and also know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we feel the same thing from them. So how does intimacy and love show up in a relationship? They show up in you. They show up as parts of you. You're going to show another person how you're going to love them, and you're going to give them examples of that. And it could be where you are creating something special for them and you find so much joy, in the moment of creation. It might be where you make a meal for someone, and it's because you want to show them you love them. You want to be intimate with them, and you're eating. So let's take a meal, for example. If you and someone you love makes a meal together, and you both feel in sync with this meal. You decide who's going to do what in the meal prep, who's going to cook. Maybe you both will cook, but what you will cook. Maybe one of you will help clean while the other person's cooking, doing prepping, those kind of things. But you're going to kind of see this dance that happens back and forth, and it's going to feel good. It's going to create these feelings inside your body that is going to tell you, I like this. I really like this. When something gets off, you're going to know that something's off. And if something just doesn't work, you'll probably just say, forget this. I'm not doing any of this anymore. But coming back to when it works and when it feels good, you're going to keep working in sync with each other. And then that is something that you both create together until you create this beautiful meal. You now sit down to eat the meal together. And intimacy can look like looking at each other in each other's eyes while you're eating. It can be touch while you're eating. It can be you having another person taste food off of your plate. That can be intimacy. That can be what a loving feeling could be like, once it's expressed through a meal or just doing a type of activity like I described in the meal preparation together, that's how love and intimacy can show up in our relationships. And that's just one example. There can be many, and you probably have your own examples of what that looks like. And because it looks different for every person. Love and intimacy in a relationship are defined by you, are moved forward by you, and actually can be created by you. If you don't feel like that exists in your relationship, you have the platform to create it, and you will create it together. You will bring what you want, all your desires, all your fantasies, all of those things. There's room for that here. And you can ask the other person, this is where you become vulnerable. You ask the other person, or you share what you were thinking with the other person, and just ask them, what would you think about this? If I wanted to, try something new, or they might ask you to try something new. And again, instead of making them feel like that was a ridiculous thing to ask, you might give them some feedback. They might give you some feedback. But again, remember, if it doesn't exist, you have the power and platform to create what you want and how you want it to go. Then you get to try it out. If you don't like it, then try something else. But be okay with doing that until you find a groove that fits both you and your partner in that relationship. Remember, you have the power to create your own intimate platform and universe. Let's get some conversation going down in the comments section. Share how you have brought intimacy and love into your relationships.